What's good, fam? It's Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today, I have a special guest. In my personal opinion, I've had a number of guests on the show. This is honestly my favorite thus far to date, for sure. That's no disrespect to any of the guests that I've had. I have with me today the legendary, the iconic,
oh damn,
MC Jin.
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
What's good?
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, man. And I ain't gonna lie, that intro it's a lot of weight to carry, but I'm humble, man. I'm humble. Thank you for making time for me.
I mean it though. I mean, I'm a hip hop head. I know you're a hip hop head. I remember watching you. What was it? With 2002, 2003?
Yeah, 2002.
2002 on 106 in Park.
Yeah.
And man, it was. They had Freestyle Friday. So for some of my viewers that might be a little bit younger, because 2002, man, that's we're coming up on 20 years ago.
We're coming up on 20 years.
Yeah. So anybody that's a fan of hip hop, especially freestyle, which I very much was back then, man, you blew people away like nobody's seen you coming.
So let me ask a question.
Okay.
Roughly, what's your age? What's your age range?
Look. We won't even be roughly, brother. I'm 47.
Oh, salute then. Okay. So that means at the time you definitely wasn't a youngin'. Like you was already into you were like 25, like 26, 27 at the time. You said you're 47. Yeah. Okay. So at the time I was about 19. So I was about 19, almost turning 20 during the Freestyle Friday run. And I only say that to say that between then and now, hip hop has definitely changed and evolved. The music industry has definitely changed and evolved. Society has changed and evolved in some aspects. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. But all in all, man, I'm just grateful, man. It's been a crazy journey. And I think the really fascinating thing is I always used to look at 106 in Park, right, as like a stepping stone in a sense, meaning it was my big break, right? You know how people always talk about, I'm just waiting for my big break, or his big break was this, or her big break was that movie or whatever. And without a doubt, 106 is without a doubt my big break.
It was legendary.
But as the years go on, what I'm saying is I'm starting to see that not only was it a big break, but it was milestone and iconic in ways that probably I wasn't even aware of at the time, is what I'm saying.
And that's why my intro was the way that it was.
Well, humbled.
It's so do you keep up with, well, now they don't really call it freestyle anymore, it's battle raps, right?
Yeah, battle rapping.
So
I'm all the way up.
Yeah, okay, so those guys, it's a whole different, back then, because I used to freestyle quite a bit myself, right? Like everybody had those street dreams, right? But it was, maybe, they give you a beat, and then you spit what you got for 60 seconds, top of the dome, that kind of thing. Now, man, this whole schemes, there's no instrumental. I mean, a battle, they have rounds. I mean, it's like, 45 minutes. It's a whole.
Yes. So I think it's completely evolved. So I look at it like this. At the core, it's still the same. At the core, right? It's still about creativity, wittiness, what am I going to say? Unique, creativity, unique ways to take your opponent down. Let's just say that verbally. Okay. How do I verbally take my opponent apart? How do I, basically humiliate them? How do I belittle them? How do I do that? The biggest shift are all the things that you just mentioned, right? I think the structure of it has changed. Whereas once upon a time, it was less structured. It was like, I'll battle anywhere, anytime, drop a beat, let's go. Whereas now that rarely happens, if even. Now it's like, I'm battling you in July and it's February. I'm going to do mad research. I'm going to learn all about you. I'm going to learn about where you grew up. I'm going to learn about your first pet. I'm going to learn what grades you got in math class in the 7th grade. And then when we meet in July, I'm going to have 5 rounds or 3 rounds of just material about you.
So with that, does that take away? Because, so that's the thing, because a true freestyle, I'm an older cat, but a true freestyle to me is, it's really off the top of the dome. I mean, you might you might do a little research, but you have to incorporate it because you may not know the beat that's going to drop. And so your flow,
you got to be able to feel. Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. I think for what it's evolved into, even the guys that are doing it now at the highest level of competition, they'll tell you that what they do now is not, maybe once upon a time what we did with the freestyle battling. So now they definitely, they're more like artists now, to be honest.
It's like spoken word, right?
One, the acapella factor is a big change, right? So there's rarely, and there are leagues out there that do beats, to be honest. So they actually drop a beat and the two dudes will battle with beats. But the predominant format is acapella now. And you're right. Is it like spoken word? Not really, because there's still the rhythmic aspect to it, but there's a lot of emphasis on performance now, way more than before. Now, to answer your question of like, so is it different? It is different. I don't even think these guys themselves will call it freestyle battling. They're not freestyle battling. However, you do have those guys. There's a good amount of them too, where even if they have 3 rounds that are fully written, they're still able to incorporate like, off the top of the head, as they would call it, rebuttals, right? Like if you say something to me, if this might not be part of my 3-minute round that I wrote, but I'm gonna slide some rebuttals in there. I'm gonna take apart what you said.
Would you ever enter that arena? Would you ever?
I've been asked that question, a good amount of times. And I think over the years, as I get asked it more and more, my answer is actually pretty straightforward. I would never say that I would never battle again. Okay. Because it's always going to be in me. But I think in terms of like battling, like on that high competitive level, I do think that it's not something I would tell anyone to hold their breath and wait for, just because I don't see my heart in it. And that's all it is. Because people are like, there's like leagues. And like I said, this is why I said they're like artists now. Because once upon a time, we was just battling just for bragging rights, right? Like there was no money involved in it at all. And then little by little, they started becoming cash prizes, right? Like, here's a tournament. Whoever wins the tournament wins $100, $500, 10 grand, whatever. Right. But now that's not even the case. Now rapper A and rapper B, they're getting booked to battle each other. So regardless of win, lose, or draw, whatever, they're getting a performance fee. Yeah. So that's the biggest change.
It's like prize fighters.
They're like prize fighters, Yeah.
There's like sponsors and all. So who is your? I won't say your favorite and put you on the spot like that, but give me 1 or 2 guys that you are really like. Them 2 cats is mad dope.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I'll say someone like Disaster, who's very polar. He's very polarized in terms of who you ask.
He's animated. Like Disaster's okay. He's a beast though. Disaster's a beast.
Oh, Disaster's. So I'm saying like someone will, depending on who you ask, you'll get an answer that's like, Disaster's garbage. I think you would be out of your mind if you say he's garbage. He might not be your cup of tea, but you cannot say he's garbage. But this is the reason why I think of him. Because if you look at, let's say we just look at resume, right? Let's not look at if he's your personal taste in terms of battle style, right? But he's battled Cannabis, he's battled Cassidy, he's battled literally all of the, and I just named 2 names that are more like broad in the hip hop scope, just in general. But we know that the rap battle circle is also very niche. Like there's like superstars in the battle rap world, right? Superstars that can get like, 5 figures to battle. But if you go out into the public world, they might, like, meaning just the broader masses, they might not know who these are. But my point is, Disaster, he's battled all of them. He's lost, he's won, and even losing and winning is subjective sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I say my guy would be Charlie Clips.
Oh, Charlie isn't, I mean, if I were to further go in and be like, here's my 3-4 guys, Charlie is insane. Charlie is one of those guys that we were just talking about, meaning he'll come with, rounds, and he'll have his rounds all penned out. They'll be pristine and fire. But do not be surprised if he slides in some of those freestyle off the top of the dome.
Yeah. He's so, and a lot of people may not know this. I mean, you like I said, this young generation might know, you actually had a cipher years ago with Kanye.
Oh yeah. That's a very like, the guy that captured that.
That's throwback.
His name, I don't want to butcher his name. I think he's a DJ, DJ 730. I want to give him proper credits. But the guy that actually had the camera and filmed that day, salute to him. Because I wasn't even aware. Like I'm sure I noticed there was a camera there, but I don't think in my mind I was like, yo, somebody record this. I'm ciphering with Kanye.
You know what? I've seen that on YouTube a couple times. I've watched it. I never thought of that because that was an era where
there's no cell phones.
People weren't recording everything.
Yeah, nobody. Nobody.
At best, maybe a pager. I didn't even think of it.
Yo, fam, he had a camera, so he had like a legit like a camcorder.
Yeah, so he was walking in there looking like he's part of the news team.
Yo, he probably didn't have the big joint like this, but he had the handheld. It was like this, so he was filming like this. Yeah, and you watch the footage that is on YouTube. It's grainy. It's got like that grainy, and it's not grainy because they put a filter on it. It's because it's literally like
the quality of the time.
Quality of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a very unique experience because that Kanye, the Kanye that's rhyming in that cipher, this is like more or less pre-rapper Kanye. Like you see him rapping there, but he was actually more known for production at the time. So I don't think he dropped. He didn't drop College Dropout yet.
Was that a Rockefeller cipher that you guys were in?
Nah, you know what that was? We was at like a photo shoot probably for LRG.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they were grassroots back then too.
Very great. Yo, shout out to LRG. And, one of the founders of LRG, his name is Jonas, Asian dude as well. Iconic, visionary. I mean, he left. I mean, he's passed away. He left us some years ago. But I mean, I used to be heavy on LRG. And so I remember that day. It was like a photo shoot, like an informal photo shoot. But he's there, like a bunch of other MCs there. And I mean, we all knew that he was Kanye West. But my point is, it wasn't like, yo, that's Kanye West, the crazy MC. We was like, yo, that's Kanye, the producer. But we knew that he was rhyming, though. I knew that he was rhyming.
Right. It was. I kind of mentioned it before. So you were signed to Rockefeller.
Oh, no, I was on Ruff Ryders.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's my fault.
That's right.
That's right. Ruff Ryders. Yeah. Do you feel that, because I have videos where I kind of talked about this with another local guy out here named Bumpy. Bumpy Chill. He's a rapper. He's kind of still doing his thing. He actually has a dope track. I'll send it to you. It's very conscious. It's a couple cats out here, but either way. And we were talking with like Jin, in my opinion and in his opinion, never got the proper push. Because we felt like, and to quote Bumpy, he's like, Jin could have really been something special. Like, and I agree with him. Like, I don't feel they gave you the push, man, that they could have. And I know in the industry, a lot of it is the industry dollars really pushing you and broadcasting you out nationwide, and and everything that goes with that. Do you agree with those sentiments? Or
my thoughts? Yo, here's my thoughts. I mean, when I look at the big picture, to me, the big picture is once upon a time, I was just a little 13-year-old Chinese kid sitting in my mom and dad's takeout restaurant, just fantasizing about any of this, about getting a record deal, being a rapper, right? So my point is to look back now and see that I kind of turned that childhood dream into a reality in a way, right? And not only that, but it actually went farther than I ever thought. Because when I was young and thinking about my aspirations, it was a more naive and very superficial type of thinking. I was like, yo, I love hip hop, but the goal is to get a deal, make money, get the fame, the props, the girls, the house, right? So in terms of like cultural impact, obviously within the hip hop community, and then even as an Asian artist, right? I'll be honest, as a youngin', I'm not thinking about that. The only reason I bring all of this up to answer your question is, as I look back on the whole thing, man, I don't have one bit of, number one, regret. And number two, as it pertains to, yo, do you feel the R didn't push you the way that they could have? And because of that, in some way, it maybe capped off how far you could have gone. Right. Not one bit, yo. Not one bit. At least I sit here and say this now because I do look back on it. And I think, if anything, what was some of the things working against us, maybe is that, yo, when I came out, it was a different time, of course, right? This is like 20 years ago. So that's number one. At the time, I think the thing that was exciting was also the thing that kind of was the obstacle or hurdle that we were all trying to overcome. And when I say we, I mean myself individually and even as it pertains to me with Double R. And what I mean by that is like, people are still trying to figure out like, yo, what is this? Like, okay, we seen this Chinese dude on Freestyle Friday. We see him with the R now. I think collectively as a music industry, as people listening to hip hop or music in general, they're still trying to figure out, yo, is he dope or is he not? In a way, right? So now simultaneously on our side, I think the label, Ruff Ryders and D and Y, who I still keep in contact with here and there, okay, I think they had the best intentions, without a doubt. But truth be told, I don't think they even really had a clear vision of what is Jin? How do we? Because you can't really push me out there the way you push X out, the way you push Eve out, the way you push the Locks out, And I don't think they wanted to either. And here's the last piece that I carry on my own, just as Jin as a man. Yo, at the time, I'm 21 years old, 22 years old. Okay. Truth be told, I don't think I knew who I was at the time. Does that make sense? So in terms of, so in terms of even the music and, like, how do I navigate through the music industry? Who am I? I'm still figuring it out. So like, let's say the Ruff Ryder album. I only did one album with them. Right. But it's called The Rest Is History. If you look at it on paper, yo, they did everything they could. Yo, Kanye produced on there, Swiss, Clef. We had Styles P on there. We had Twista on there. We had, so it wasn't like they didn't shortchange me is my point. I just think that I think creatively combined with, you're right, did they push it the way they could have and could it have been more glorious? I don't know, man. Like, we're only looking back and talking about it like this right now because, like, if we were to look at the numbers, right? Yeah, maybe I didn't hit what everybody thought it would hit. I didn't acquire some of those accolades that we associate with success, right? Yeah, you're right. I never won that Grammy, never got that Billboard award, never won that MTV music video. You know what I mean? So I think in that sense, then it's easy to be like, yo, Jin could have been bigger. But if I look at it now, man, yo, that Ruff Ryder album, When the Smoke Cleared, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm confident to say that between then and now, I think that joint is at least like maybe I'll say this conservatively, 250,000 to 300,000 copies sold worldwide. And I don't want to be one of those, yo, let's look at the numbers guys. But I'm just saying, I say that to say that if you go back to what I'm saying, I was once upon a time the dude standing in the middle of Times Square with my little freestyle CD, like, yo, you listen to hip hop? Yo, check this out. Yeah. And if you compare that to 300,000 people going into a store, I'm not talking about streams either. I'm talking about, yo, here's $14.99. Here's $14.99. Let me get that album. They rip open the plastic and they got a Jin album. To me, yeah.
And I could be biased.
Praise God.
Absolutely. I could be biased. And just to further, because, you may not remember because I know you have, a lot of fan stuff, but I sent you a pic. And just to further let everybody know how down with the cause I am, I got back here.
So
this I purchased off of MySpace. Bro. I still got the envelope, bro, that came in.
Oh,
and
my
of course,
gosh.
Maybe don't everybody know about this one.
The independent joint.
Yeah. And I even
100 grand
supported a couple cats in your squad, right? Hold on, let me see here.
Yo, the embassy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Joint, I don't even got that joint.
I got two of them. I'll send you one.
But let me tell two quick things about those first two albums that you held up. So the first one you held up, the one you called the MySpace joint. This is called I Promise. So this is literally right after I parted ways with Ruff Ryders. So I ended up parting ways with them in like 2006. And at the time it was tough. Because I was like, not in terms of the split with them, because we split as peaceful as could be. Literally, one day I had this meeting with the CEOs and it was super cordial. It was super like, man, it just could have been a lot uglier. That's all I'm saying. But basically it was like, hey, we gave it a go, right? You tried, we tried, but it looks like this might be the end of our union, right? So we parted ways. And at the time, I'm actually like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, is my head even still in this music thing? I don't know. So I ended up doing, I did another project. I did a project that I did independently but then like it kind of didn't really pick up. But it was more for me just to vent. That one's called Propaganda. So that one is the one after the Ruff Ryder album. Put it out independently. That's the one where like I got back on my real underground hip hop cypher backpack. You know, I was like, yo, F the industry, F record labels, like I was just very bitter with that album. That album, the one you held up, that was the one where I was on my MySpace page. And I'm looking at my MySpace numbers, like my engagement, people that comment, that follow. I'm like, yo, there's like a nice little interaction here. So literally, I was just like, hey, I'm working on an album. If you want to buy it, just PayPal me $10 and I'll mail it to you.
That's exactly.
And there you go. And that's how you got that album.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly
the
what it was.
MySpace
so awesome, dude.
And then the other one, the 100 grand, the other joint you got. So that was like another year or so down the line. And the reason why I called it 100 grand Jin is because I went to these 2 battle tournaments held by Fight Club. These Fight Club battles. And it wasn't a lot of people. Like I think each tournament was only like they picked 4 people to battle, but the winner would get 50 grand. 50 grand to win one battle, right? Like, so meaning like you don't have to put up any money. You just go, but if you win it, you win 50 grand. They had a dope sponsor.
Was that with you and Iron Solomon?
No. So me and Solomon was in a Fight Club battle, but it wasn't in that tournament.
Okay.
But what happened was they got a Chevrolet sponsorship. I think that's why they were able to put up the 50K, you know, because Chevy got the bag, right? Chevrolet got the bag. So I won that twice. Each one was for 50 grand. So I won one year. Nice. I went back again and won another year. And then from there, I was just like, yo, y'all could call me 100 grand Jin now. 100 grand Jin. And that's where the name of the album comes from. 100 grand.
Look, that's big actually, because 50 racks is big now.
50 racks is big now.
If I had to compete with something right now and I could win 50 racks, I mean, yeah, I'm all the way with it.
Yeah. So it was a crazy ride, man. In general,
you're right. It's crazy. Like your journey, like I said, because I was at the age when I first got introduced to you, to where I was in my 20s. So I vividly remember all this. And at the time, I was a striving MC myself. Yeah. And so you really honed in on everybody. Just the whole culture and the whole.
And then I think at the time, now it's definitely more. It's grown as it should have. But if we go back 15 years, go back 20 years, the circle is smaller in the context of who are the Asian cats that are that are active but there are though. Like even I remember at that time, I wasn't the only one. Like in terms of like in different regions. Different styles, like, you know what I mean? I can name like, there was them, there was him, there was, they was doing it. So I think that circle was small then. And now it's definitely grown, right? Like where you where you hear about, you don't know about this guy in Florida, or in Houston or in any city. And just because I'm not familiar with them doesn't mean they're not killing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know who you introduced me to? You did you were featured, I believe, on their album, or at least, on this track for sure, is Heesun Lee.
Heesun, yeah. Korean female rapper.
Yeah. And so I did, I do a lot of top 10s on here too. And so I did a top 10 of Christian hip hop.
Dope.
And I ranked her as number 8. And not like number 8 female, like number 8 period. Just CHH, Christian hip hop.
She's really dope.
So dope. She is mad dope. But I remember, so you introduced me to her, but kind of a little bit back before then is you became, and to use that kind of, you became Christian, I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you did some Christian hip hop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I followed some of that, some of the videos, and I was really, saying like, okay, he's going to really, in my view, I was like, he's gonna kill this. He's gonna really take it over. I know you did some songs. You've done some songs with Bizzle.
Bizzle's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and
I like where this is going.
Yeah. I mean,
you're basically throwing me the alley-oop to let me share about that whole journey.
Yeah, it's because you went from there, right? 106 in Park, Aaron, like you said, just the kid that was kind of slinging his stuff on his freestyle CDs out there on the block.
Yeah.
And then you kind of got the accolades. You got signed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I seen you with a whole different artist with a whole different message.
Yeah.
And so,
well, let me fill in the blanks. Let me fill in the blanks. Let me fill in the blanks for you and anybody that may be watching and listening. I think that, I'm so glad that you throwing me this alley-oop to let me talk about it, because to me, this is really what it is, right? Like, I look back on my journey now, and I definitely think that, now this is me speaking more from a perspective of my faith, right? From a more faith-rooted perspective. In some ways, or in a lot of ways, I feel like God saved me by not letting me become as big as I wanted to or hoped to during the Ruff Ryder run, right? Because I was going in a certain direction, right? And in terms of like, what is success, what isn't a success, that's also a matter of perspective too, right? You know what I mean? Because some people might be like, he didn't go platinum, so that automatically means I wasn't successful. But then to some others, they might be like, he went a lot farther than a lot of us did or want to, or we thought, right? And they'll be like, I would die to have went where you went, Jin, right? There is that. So, but for me, as I look at it from the perspective of my faith, I truly believe, the most gracious thing that God did for me was not allow me to succeed the way I wanted to at the time, or the way I presented and projected that I would, because I was going in a direction. And if you ask me at the time, like, was I losing myself? I mean, I would like to think that I was still a good dude, right? Like, I wasn't out there, like harming anyone. And, if anything, I was just a young dude living my life. But for sure, as I'm getting money, as I'm getting fame, as I'm getting, like all of the, quote unquote achievements, I definitely was getting lost in the world. You know what I mean? And I think really, even if I didn't acknowledge it, I'm sure that if I continue in that direction, it would have only been a matter of time where it spiraled, right? Like if I were, I'm just saying, if I were to have gone platinum, if I were to have won that Grammy, I'm pretty sure those accolades wouldn't calm me back down. You get what I'm saying? Those accolades would not have humbled me. If anything, I would have just kept going in that one direction. So my point is, I think as gruesome as it was, there was like a good 2-year period, like 06, 07, I'll say specifically, where, I was a broken man, I was a broken man. So in 06, 07, I was probably, in 2000, I was 18. So I was probably like 25 years old. That's right. Dead in the middle of my 20s. Okay. And the shortest way to describe it is I kind of went from feeling like I had everything that I had hoped for, to literally watching it kind of just slip through my hands, like little by little. Once you lose the deal, then people right away are just like, oh, he got dropped. They don't even want to know what the context is. They just know he's not with Double R, so he got dropped. Oh, why he got dropped? Because his album flopped. And then little by little, you start to see really what this whole thing is, right? Yeah. So I remember at the time, there were probably only a handful of things that kept me afloat. My family, of course, meaning my mom, my dad, my sister, who really, they could care less who I am as Jin the rapper, right? I'm just their son. I'm their brother. At the time, she wasn't even my wife yet, but she's my wife now. Mm-hmm. Her name is Carol. So she was a big component in this. And I say all of that to say that it wasn't even at that time where I suddenly was like, oh, God, talk to me, right? Not at all. That's not even the case. Right. So I had 2 years where I was just a broken man, just like, I never went and officially got diagnosed, but it would be safe to say that I had sunken into a place of depression, and just really feeling like I don't have any direction. I don't have any purpose. You know what I mean? I would like to just stay home, crawl under my bed, and just curl up into a ball. So that was my zone. The real turning moment is in 08. I had a chance to go to Hong Kong to rap in Cantonese, which I had not done yet, right? Okay. So that's the chapter we didn't talk about yet, like when I went out to Asia, which is key in all this. I go out to Asia. I'm thinking it's just going to be for like 2-3 months, try to do a few shows, make a little money. But then next thing you know, one thing led to another, one door opened, another door opened. Beyond just doing music and rapping, I'm in movies. I'm selling I'm on the billboard for the iced tea. Like, hey, you know what I mean? Like all this wild stuff. But more importantly, it was in the 2-3 years that I was out there that I experienced this faith transformation. And what does that mean? That just means, for the first time, I understood what it meant to have a relationship with God. As opposed to before, like even from a kid, like I didn't grow up in a church household, but my auntie, you know, the one auntie, Kathy, her name is, she would always just let me know, you know, Jesus loves you, right? And you know that God has a plan for you. And, you know, I'm like a kid, so I'm only hearing the surface level of it. I don't really get it. So for the longest, I've always believed God. I've always believed God was there. I've always believed he loved me, but the disconnect was heavy. I'm like, yo, he's all the way up there. You know, I might pray when I need something. God, yo, help me, you know, get out of this speeding ticket. I promise I'll never speed again. You know, that type of thing. Yeah. But in terms of like really like having him in my life and having Christ in my life, like, yo, this is my best friend. And I know he loves me regardless of if I'm sitting on top of the charts or if I'm sitting underneath my bed broken, right? That was the shift. And how does all of that have to do with what you were bringing up in terms of the music side? So at no point did you can't find one interview or a press release where I'm like, hey, guess what up, y'all? I'm a Christian rapper now. Never. It's just that as I started making music from that new space, the music came out like that. But at the same time, I never really like, whenever someone would ask me, just like the way you said it right now, so you're doing Christian rap now, right? Or would you consider yourself a Christian rapper? I never pushed away from it either. And I still won't now. Does that make sense? Because to me, I feel like the title and the way it's perceived, it's really not up for me to say. Because even if I come out, I'm like, yo, I'm a Christian rapper now. I'm a Christian rapper. But it doesn't hit people in that way. What the heck, you know, for lack of better words, what the hell does that even mean? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. Whereas on the flip side, I don't have to go around with a flag. I'm a Christian rapper. If my music hits the listener in that way and they feel the spirit of God in it, then man, hallelujah.
Yeah, you know, your journey, you know, I think on that your journey is maybe a little bit more personal to me. So I'm mixed, biracial, whatever you want to say. My dad's black, my mom's Filipino.
I see you got the Philippines joint on. I like that.
And I got the Africa. You know, I got the Filipino coat of arms up here, and
love it.
You know what I mean? But my family is very blended. For me, it's more personal. You know, like I said, it's seeing your journey. I see it. You know, I see it from two different points of view.
Right.
So on that, you being Chinese and being in New York when you were in the hip hop, did you have to navigate differently, or did you feel that you had to maybe navigate or present yourself a little differently, because obviously hip hop is predominantly black?
Yeah, you're right.
And so, I mean, if you look at these ciphers with Jin in there, and you see him on 106 in Park, I mean, he's like the only non-black person. You know what I mean? There might be one or two. I mean, I know he was on Wildin' Out.
Yeah, so that's more recent though. Wildin' Out is so Wildin' Out is a great representation of, I think, how there has been a shift, right? I mean, yeah, it's still rooted in hip hop. It's still rooted in urban black culture. But if you look at the cast of Wildin' Out, I'm sure they're very intentional, right? Like Nick is very intentional that there is not only just race, right? But you got all shades and colors and just the whole, but they want that. They want it and they need it to be that, you know?
Right. I love Nick Cannon. Shout out to Nick Cannon for sure. Yeah. So kind of getting a little bit more in recent events and kind of a little bit outside of the music world, I guess. The hashtag that's trending now is Stop Asian Hate.
Asian Hate. Yeah.
And you know, me being, of course, biracial and everything, I kind of hear a little bit from both sides and from different people groups. And the first thing that I always tell people is that first and foremost, let us understand that there's like 48, 50 countries in Asia.
Yes.
Asia is a continent. So when you say, oh, these Asians this or Asians that, I'm like, you realize these are different countries with different governments, people, culture, languages, ideologies, the whole deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think in the States, it's not really looked at that way. Mm-hmm. They just think it's just Asian. Everybody's Asian. And then, you know, like I said, it's, well, so how do you feel about that new hashtag and what's been transpiring as of late?
So I'll answer that first bit of your question first. Like as far as whether it was me coming to because I moved to New York in 2001. So prior to that, this actually connects with the answer. I myself was born and raised in Miami. So I was born in Miami. I spent essentially the first 2 decades of my life there. I didn't leave Miami till I was about 19 years old. But in terms of where like the 106 in Park and all of that kicked off, that was in New York.
Okay.
So I've been here for 20 years now too. But to answer that question of, yo, being Chinese, did I ever feel like I had to present myself in a certain way or navigate it in a way that maybe required anything extra or anything? I mean, if you ask me, nah. Like I feel like why I gravitated towards hip hop, why I thrived in hip hop even, is that I like to think I was always the most authentic version of myself, right? So in terms of like, let's say we break it down to the junior high school days, right? For sure, when I'm in ciphers, just like you described, if I look around or if I went to like a battle, I'm not seeing a lot of faces that are like me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like complexion, right? But I guess for me, as much as I was aware of it, I didn't dwell on it. So when I go into a cipher, when I go into a battle, I'm not like, yo, let me get up in this cipher as the one Chinese dude, or let me get up in this cipher and represent for the Chinese and Asians. Nah, I'm like, yo, let me get up in this cipher and just get busy. You know what I mean? And even like when I'm battling other people, I never look at it as like, yo, I'm an Asian guy battling a black dude. I'm an Asian guy battling a Hispanic dude or whatever. No, like, of course it would come up, right? Because the number one choice as far as the target when they're battling me is, yo, wait, you know, I'm gonna hit him with the Karate Kid jokes. I'm gonna hit him with the Mr. Miyagi, the fried rice, you know, which is just part of the game, you know, which is why I felt that helped me. That actually helped me develop thick skin, and it helped me see like, there's a certain interesting dynamic, because some people will say, yo, even in that context, even in the context of battling, that's kind of like a microaggression version of racism too, right? Because if they're calling you, and I'm like, yo, I'm not negating the perspective of someone who feels that way, but to me, the beauty of art and freestyle battling in this case is that I can say the most ridiculous thing about you. You can, you know, say the most ridiculous thing about me, and afterwards we could shake hands. And in some way, it's poking fun at how ridiculous people really are when they look at it like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Some people won't see it like that. Some people just be like, nah, I don't care if it was in a battle. He said that you eat dogs. That's racist. But like, I think context really matters. Because if I'm battling someone and he's like, yo, you just cooked his dog, right? Does that make me think this person is racist? They might be. Right. But then I also am like, but they might not be. You know what I mean? I know the context of this battle. You know what I mean?
Circumstantial.
It's circumstantial. Yeah.
Circumstantial evidence, Your Honor.
But to me, man, I feel like over the years, I would like to think that what allowed me to grow in the space that I grew in, whether it was from going on Freestyle Friday to signing with the Double R and leading all the way up to 2021, I hope that it was because, yo, Jin really is just Jin. You know what I mean? He's definitely rooted in this culture that he grew up in, right? Like hip hop culture, black culture. However, yo, he's super proud to be Asian. There's no doubt about it. I've always been super proud to be Asian. Like, even when it wasn't the cool thing to be, let's put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Even when it wasn't like, yo, you know what I mean? It's dope to be Asian. I still was like, I'm dope. I'm dope to be Asian, you know? To answer the second part, so in terms of what's happening in real time, it's heartbreaking, you know, for sure. It's heartbreaking in a more real time scenario. I mean, you know, I know that this isn't live and people will be watching this in different times, but from the moment that I'm sitting here right now with you, yesterday, I went to a rally, like a anti-hate rally, specifically because of what's been going on, you know, from the attacks of the elderly in the Asian communities to the tragedy in Atlanta at the massage spas. So they had a rally in New York, and I brought my 8-year-old son, who didn't want to go at first because his legitimate concern was 5 minutes before we left the house, he was like, Daddy, I want to go support, but what if the racists come to the rally and shoot people? And I'm like, yo, I there's a moment I had to process it because I can't guarantee him that, yo, that won't happen. But I tried to explain to him, I was like, if mommy and daddy, you know, feel peaceful enough to bring you, we'll protect you. And you know, we wouldn't bring you if we felt like it would be danger, right? But you know, he's 8, so he's just thinking about the worst. But the fact that an 8-year-old is thinking like that is already shows you that's the tragedy in itself. But he went.
Absolutely. That's heavy.
He went.
That's heavy.
He's 8. Yeah, but we went And all in all, man, it was just so empowering for both of us. Like he went on stage, he said something to the crowd, and, you know, he overcame that fear, and I got to watch him. I was super proud. He was super proud. I could even tell when he came off the stage, you know, he had his mask on, but I can feel the energy coming from his little body, that he was super proud, you know? So, man,
that's, in dissecting that moment, that's actually, that kudos to you and your wife, because one, like we said, that's heavy for an 8-year-old to even have to deal with.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's self-aware enough to know those things and then understand the importance, that's a whole, because at 8 years old, I'm pretty sure all I was concerned with was Scooby-Doo.
Same. Yo, I just wanted G.I. Joes. I wanted to make sure I had all 4 of the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. So the fact that you have so kudos to you guys for
I'm proud of him, man. I'm proud of that guy.
Going in that direction. So that's awesome. So you only have one son.
We have him. He's 8, and then we have a 1-year-old as well.
Oh, okay.
Both boys.
Oh, nice. Okay.
2 boys.
Well, congrats to you on that for sure.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
I got 4 kids. So
nice. What's the age?
Oh, what's the age? My kids is grown, but I'm gonna tell you. So 21.
Okay.
25.
Okay.
27.
Okay.
And 30.
Oh, they grown,
brother. Look, 3 boys and a girl. I have 2 grandkids. So Micah just turned 5. And then June is getting ready here in a couple days to turn.
Your grandpa.
Yeah, bro.
How you look younger than me, though?
Look, you know why?
Oh my gosh.
I took the black don't crack half.
And you mixed it.
And I mixed
with the Asian don't raisin.
So exactly. So but here's the risk. Here's the possible risk is Asians don't age either until they're really older. You look 20 for like 65 years, and all of a sudden you just.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So I don't know. Look, 15, 20 years from now, I could be shriveled up.
You'll be shriveling.
Yeah.
Yo, but man, bless you and your family.
So on this piece, kind of staying in line with the Stop Asian Hate.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I hear is that the Asian and Black community. Now, obviously, this we have different experiences as we've expressed here, mm-hmm. But the Black and Asian community haven't always gotten along. And I think a lot of that is regional, like in the West Coast, and I know in parts of the East Coast, more specifically, Blacks and Koreans haven't gotten along.
Yes.
What would you say to somebody that would try to generalize or group all that together and kind of that whole ordeal?
Oh, man. Well, I myself I feel like I'm constantly learning every day. And the first thing I'm learning is that on both sides, on the Asian side and on the Black community side, this is a word that I hear often now too, and it's not a new word, but the fact that neither side are monoliths, and I like that word. Basically, just meaning on both sides, it's a broad spectrum. So the same thing you said about on the Asian side, there's Koreans, there's Cambodians, there's Vietnamese, there's Laos, there's people from Thailand, right? All of them we know are from Asia, right? The region of Asia, and that's what makes up Asia. But the point is, I think if you come here to America, a lot of people don't see that. They just, Asians are Asians. Y'all all the same, right? And if you're talking about the more narrow-minded, just old school ways, like, I don't care. All of y'all can't drive. All of y'all, eat animals. All of y'all eat animals that shouldn't be eaten. And that's it. All of y'all are good at math. Y'all know some form of martial arts, right? And your women are freaks. All of y'all women are freaks, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, the flip side of it is in the same way that we're not monoliths like that, the Black community aren't. So right. to see just, all Black folks are athletic, all Black folks, they they don't know how to swim. None of them care about their kids. The dads don't care about their kids. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying on both sides, all of these are lies that I feel like to some degree have been fed to us from a more sinister force, because through these different like kind of lies and whatnot that are perpetuated, it does divide us.
Sure.
It divides us. So to answer your question, man, I think the thing I'm learning is that my experience, even my experience as an Asian American, I can't assume that every other Asian American can relate to it and can resonate with it. And I think that's a crucial thing to understand, because in a time where we need to unify right now, more than ever, we need to acknowledge that. So, you know, even internally, I think like we have this thing of like, yo, who's Asian and who's not Asian enough, or who's more Asian than the, you know what I mean? I feel like that's not only counterproductive, but that's detrimental to the cause. All right. Yeah. And even on the African American side, sometimes I'll be more of like, just as an observer, you know, right? Because you do have a mixed background and a blended family background, right? So you know that even within the Black community, like it's really not my place to speak on it. But I know that even within the Black community right now, there's been an ongoing tension of colorism, right? You know, like, yo, he's light skinned. He ain't even really Black. Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you got the light skin versus darker. So, you know,
and that's been going on forever.
That's been going on forever. Exactly. So I think even on that, that's a common ground that both communities have, you know, but you bring up like, you know, the more historical aspects of it. Yeah, there's always been tension. If you look at it in certain communities, you know, the Asians, they come in, they open up the Chinese restaurant, and, you know, the relationship between the restaurant runners and the people of the community might not be as healthy as it could be. You know what I mean? And from one perspective, it's like, yo, y'all come into our neighborhood, y'all open your restaurants, your nail salons, y'all don't care about us. You want to make our money, but y'all don't care about us, right? And there's a validity to that. But then on the other side, I think it's also fair to acknowledge that, yo, a lot of these restaurants and businesses, they don't necessarily get a just respect either, right? Like some of them on their side, they are just hard-working families, fathers, mothers that are just trying to make ends meet. But then they got to deal with, you know, certain customers coming in, and it's not, you know, this is the thing. It's not even that it's all Black customers coming in that are wreaking havoc, right? But the point is, these businesses are in certain communities where it's predominantly Black folks. Let's just say like that. So even if you have 100 Black folks that come into the restaurant, if one of them kind of is the reckless, like, nah, you know, like, yo, ching chong, and they are exhibiting hatred to these people. These people, I'm not justifying it, but they're going to have that mindset of like, yo, we got to protect our little small business here. Like if this window breaks, cause I come from that too. So I understand it. So it's not necessarily like, yo, I hate Black people, but I have to have a sense of guardedness as I'm here. And to be honest, who's winning in the midst of all this? Yo, it is the you know, in this case, you know, if we were to put a face on it, yo, the white supremacists.
Right. I was gonna say, white folks is winning when this happens.
Well, beyond white, I think there's a difference too between white folks and white supremacists. To me, there's a critical difference.
For sure.
Because I'm not the guy either that's like, yo, it's all the white folks' fault. Because it's all the white folks' fault. Because that's pretty broad too. But I'll be damn sure, I'll say this, yo, there are white supremacists, and there is a power of white supremacy that is just soaking all of this up. They loving it. They loving that we're at each other. They're loving that we're at each other's neck. And they pray that we will never be able to see eye to eye. Because the more divided we are, they continue to just, you know, reign on top and just like, look at them.
It makes their job easy.
Hell yeah, it makes their job easier.
For sure. Well, look, I know we're short on time. You done spend a lot of time with me.
We good, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for
absolutely. I'm telling you.
I know you've been trying to make this happen for a minute. I know you're
looking at your Twitter and your Instagram. You're like, who is this guy?
No. I appreciate your patience and thanks for your diligence, man. Because I know you was definitely like, yo, I gotta make this happen with Jin. I gotta make this happen, and I'm glad that we were able to make it happen.
Yes. And and you are more than welcome whenever. Obviously, you got my contact. If there's anything anything I can do or we can do out here in Colorado for you, whatever that is, whether it's in the church with music, pushing, whatever, let me know for sure.
Salute, man. I appreciate you. Bless you and your family. Be safe, man. And I think we're all on the same page as far as what is the direction we're trying to head in. So
absolutely. All right.
And you got the MySpace album. So you're a special breed, yo.
That's a very small exclusive club.
It is, yo. It is.
Because it's one thing to have purchased it. It's another thing to still have it.
And the envelope. You said you got the envelope.
Man, hold on. I think it's 1 second. 1 second. Give me 1 second, man.
Yo, if you pull the envelope out, I'm dead. I'll tell you one thing. I know for a fact, I mailed every single one of those out by myself. So
here we go. Can I show the address on here?
You can show it. You can show the address. Okay. You can show the address.
Here's the envelope, right? Let me zoom in on that.
Yo, Bowery Street. That's a P.O. box. I don't even have it anymore. That's why you can show it.
But look at that envelope. Look at that envelope. So, when I say I'm a fan, I was a fan then, followed the career, and a fan now.
Much love, man.
It's not just a media blow up or like, oh, he just saying that. Nah, I got the proof.
I appreciate it, man. Much love. Yo, all the best to you, man. We'll continue to build for sure, man.
Awesome. All right, God bless. And again, this is Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood. That's MC Jin. And until next time, peace.